Hi everyone, I'm Matt Craig, Chief Data Scientist with Metrigy. I want to welcome you all to episode 35 of our MetriSight podcast vidcast. Today, I am joined by the one and only Robin Gareiss, Metrigy CEO and Principal Analyst and everything else at the company. So today, before we kind of get off, Robin, how are you doing? Getting all ready for Enterprise Connect and everything?
Oh, yeah. And in fact, you mentioned that. I was just before this, we got on this call, I was looking at the Enterprise Connect schedule, and it is crazy. Lots of meetings, and it's going to be a really good show, I'm sure. So yeah, get ready for that. The week after next is where we are right now for whenever you're watching this or listening to this. But everything's great, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Keeping things rolling down the road on my end. I've been spending my life in data sheets for the last couple weeks, so that's got me being
better.
happy.
What could be better?
Exactly.
As a chief data scientist, what could be better?
Exactly. So the kind of big reason that we wanted to talk today is we wanted to talk about the recently released and announced CX MetriStar program and reports. We recently held a webinar on our Bright Talk channel, kind of discussing some of the results of this in depth, but we really wanted to kind of take a step back and look at the program more in general here today and kind of see, let everybody know what this is all about. So can you give us a little bit of background on the MetriStar program?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important to understand what it is, to understand how valuable it really is when companies win these MetriStars. So the first thing I can say is that the MetriStar is not based on analyst analysis. We do have a program coming out like that, but it's not based on our analysis. It's not based on anything we think. It is not sponsored by any vendors. It is basically us independently going out with a very large study and asking companies what they think of their vendors. What do they think of their technology providers? And we look at two key axes, basically. It's looking at customer sentiment. So we ask them somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to, I think, 9 or 10 questions around what do you think of this provider on a 1 to 4 scale in areas like technology, innovation, response time, ability to integrate AI into your product suite, all sorts of things. And they basically rate their providers in that area. So that's one axis. The other axis is looking at business success. So we ask everybody how using a particular vendor in a particular product category made or changed their business metrics in the areas of revenue, operational costs, customer ratings, and employee or agent productivity. And so those who score above average in their the overall average of their sentiment, that first area, and those who have at least, those who have more than the average number of their customers in our business success group, and those are people who scored above average in at least 2 of those 4 business metrics I mentioned. So anyone who's in that success group, if they get flagged. So basically, if you are above average in both customer sentiment and business success, you win a MetriStar. So it's not easy to do because you're looking at sentiment, how people feel about you and how their experiences with you, but also hard numbers. How well did this particular product help me to improve my business metrics? And so we did that this year in the CX space in 14 different categories of CX. So there's quite a bit there. And we're also, by the way, doing the same thing with workplace collaboration. We're going to be launching that product soon, or project, I should say, soon. And there's just a lot here. So yeah, so we go through that. We do all the analysis. We, again, it's not sponsored by vendors. We just go out and gather the research and do the analysis on it when it's all done. Just crunch the numbers. And I think I can probably tell you a little bit about just going to pull this up here, just the categories so everybody knows. We've got contact center as a service, on-premises contact centers, CPaaS, workforce optimization, CRM, voice of the customer, visual engagement, so that's your video, screen share, co-browsing, conversational AI, your virtual assistants, chatbots, agent assist, using AI to help the agents in interaction, marketing automation and workflow automation, contact center platform management and administration management tools, self-service knowledge base, and then fraud prevention. So quite a few things here. And I thought I'd also turn it back to you, Matt. I mean, this is your first time around for a MetriStar release since you started here last fall. So now that you've seen it, what are some of the things that you think will be valuable for the IT, CX, and business leaders that we serve?
Right. Yeah. So that was one of the things. So coming from a background where I would be looking at these technologies in the past and, trying to make these types of decisions on who I might want to implement in my organization. What the biggest thing to me is finding that narrowed down list of actual trusted vendors. That's always the hardest part, especially with some of these newer, more cutting edge technologies, like these AI companies. There's a million of them coming out now, it seems, that are putting AI into their platforms and some of these other types of technologies. There's a million different vendors out there. I need to know who are some that are, I'm able to just not spend endless hours trying to figure out, are they even worth looking at? Because outside of even just the technical requirements, we're not necessarily looking at every single technical feature that they have. But those ratings we have in those different areas, that helps me kind of narrow down, okay, if I need to focus more on something that has better integration with things, with better, analytics capabilities, me being the analytics guy, better analytics capabilities. I know, who are the ones that are looking at that? Who are the ones who are focusing on that? Who can I trust? And then there's also that kind of intangible part. So the business success side of things. Yes, we have the KPIs that we're tracking, but a lot of that is very dependent. You could have two platforms that are exactly the same feature-wise, but the way that you're interacting with those platforms, the way that they have it implemented, the people you're working with at the company, that makes a huge difference on what those bottom lines end up being. So to be a successful, provider of something doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have the lowest costs or anything. It's kind of that big full piece.
Yeah.
And as somebody who's buying, that's really valuable. And knowing that, this isn't something that is sponsored by a vendor. This is something that we're doing, regardless of who the vendors are or, who might be out there in the space. We're looking at everything, and these are the ones that kind of come to the top. And that just saves me as a purchaser a ton of time in that, and kind of having some confidence knowing that I'm not just getting some type of marketing piece from, any type of sales document. I'm looking at real data of real users of what they're using.
Right.
So you had mentioned that, we did 14 reports this year. Last year we did 10. So we upped the ante a little bit, So without going too in depth in any of this, because if you want to see more in-depth information, we do have that webinar that we just completed so that you can go watch that. But what are just kind of some results that stood out overall when looking at all of these different technologies?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, and like Matt said, we announced all the winners on our webinar on our Bright Talk channel, so please go ahead and take a look at that if you're interested. And I think we could probably put in the summary of our vidcast here too, so that people can click on that, because there's a lot of them, and I don't want to go into all that here, but I can talk to you about some of the general things I've seen. I would say in the ratings themselves, almost across the board, where companies scored the lowest was their ability to leverage or use or focus on AI. So being able to bring AI into their products, and that even includes like the AI specific products like conversational AI or agent assist. Just being able to better utilize artificial intelligence. And I'm not surprised by that because AI is relatively new. I mean, when you think about the overall span of how long technology has been in existence, it's relatively new in terms of how long we've been using it for customer engagement activities. So, and I think a lot of companies see the promise and the potential with AI, but maybe they're having some issues with integration. Maybe they feel that it takes too long to get an application up and running. I think generative AI and large language models that we're seeing really emerge very quickly are going to change a lot of that. So I think that every vendor should, and I think most of them are, really be looking into how the new models, the new foundation can really help with getting applications up and running, being more innovative to solve business problems. We've heard, I'm sure everyone's heard about things like being able to use generative AI to do summaries, to be able to create content, to be able to classify. There's all sorts of things we can do with it. And I think you're going to see a lot of interesting results. In fact, just as a side note, just this morning I was reading about how this person it was just a long Twitter stream that was talking about, well, I've got $100. Okay, ChatGPT, I've got $100. What do I need to do to make this into $1 million? Or what do I need to do to make the most money possible out of it? And, like within a day, the company was worth $25,000. It was just crazy. It was doing like a marketing thing, but it was really interesting. Wow. And you start thinking about just the creativity of people using, the generative models like this. I also worry that it is going to stifle creativity on the other hand, because, you've got, especially in the student realm, if it's late one night, you've got a paper due the next day. Do you try and write it, or do you have ChatGPT write it? So there's going to be a lot of that happening too. But I digress. So improvements in AI, I think there's a lot we can do there, and that's typically where people scored lowest. I will say, last year we saw a lot lower scores in security. This year that has improved quite a bit. So we're seeing companies certainly, focusing on making sure that they have the right security and compliance parameters built into their products. So they did score pretty well there. Scored pretty well just on like technology platforms. So that was good. I will say also that the business success metrics were fairly strong throughout. And there were a few areas that were higher than and lower than others, but overall, I think companies are measuring and seeing good success in terms of increasing their revenue or improving their CSAT scores or their customer ratings, whatever they might be measuring. Reducing operational costs and making their employees more effective, more productive, more efficient. So we did see that, and I like seeing those ties, because if you're going to buy technology and it doesn't make a difference in your business success, then why buy it? And then I would say that there was definitely a lot of vendors. Like there were a lot of ratings this year, a lot more startups, a lot more market fragmentation, certainly in some areas. So we saw a lot of providers being rated, not all of them being able to be counted individually because we didn't have enough ratings. But those are some of the key things that I think that I would say this year. In addition, Matt, to what you just said, I think it's also important to note that this data is valuable just because it gives you information straight from the horse's mouth. It's straight from those people who are already using these companies, so you can benefit from what they've experienced, good or bad.
Exactly.
So exactly. That's kind of where I see things going there. So I would say at this point, Matt, I'd like to throw a question back to you. Outside of the MetriStar program, which we've just been talking about, we do have other research coming out shortly, and I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about that because it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing we have coming out in the coming weeks, we will be rolling out everything, is our kind of revamped MetriCast program. And this is our forecasting for different technology areas, the market forecasting. We are starting with a few of them right now. I think we have on-prem contact center, cloud contact center, CCaaS, communications platform as a service, and CRM. We're kind of forecasting those out, and this is kind of a revamp of what we've done in the past. We launched a MetriCast last year. We've taken it even further this year. So we are extending it out to global reach. We're forecasting out to 2027 of everything that we have. So we have all of that growth rates. And part of the big reason why we can do this is we brought on Diane Myers, who is a principal analyst. This is what she's focused on. She is very well known especially in the workplace collaboration space, but very well known in the industry. And she has a ton of experience doing this type of stuff. What makes ours kind of a little bit different than what you see in a lot of these other forecasts out there is we do utilize demand side information, not just vendor financials supplied information. So we are looking at, okay, what are the customers actually paying for these things? How much are they paying per license? How much does it actually take to run some of these technologies? So we're taking a little bit of a different approach that gives us a little bit more of a unique insight into it. So that will be rolling out shortly. I've been working with Diane on some of the data analytics for it, so it will be rolling out shortly. I'm really excited for that.
Excellent.
And outside of that, we do have some other things coming out. So Robin, I kind of wanted to kick it back to you, just to kind of close things out here. What are some heads up on some upcoming, research agenda plans, roadmaps for some of our upcoming research throughout the rest of this year? Where can people see you talk about everything? You always bring so much, insight out of this data that it's so valuable. Where can they see you? Where they can they hear you?
Oh boy. So we're all actually speaking at Enterprise Connect coming up. So, depending upon when you're listening to this or watching this, you may be able to see us speak there. But all of our clients can talk to us at any given time, just reaching out to client services, and we're happy to talk. And we do have a lot of really cool research just having come out and also coming out. So right now we're briefing companies on advanced CPaaS and APIs. So there's a lot of really good data there if you're looking at what's going on in the CPaaS world and API world. Customer insights and analytics. So that's looking at how are companies gathering their customer insights and what they're doing with that. How are they acting on it? What kind of results are they seeing from it? So that's pretty cool. And then workplace collaboration. So how are companies using their workplace collaboration tools? Everything from team collaboration to video to SIP trunking, all sorts of things there. So we've got those studies going on in addition to what Matt was talking about. And then we're launching one on generative AI. So I talked about that a little bit earlier, that as a topic. So we're going to be doing a study on that very soon. And also customer experience transformation, an annual study that we do, employee experience, another annual study. And also, again, starting on that workplace collaboration MetriCast. We also have a study coming up on foundational technology. So looking at we talk about all these advanced technologies in the employee and customer experience space. What about on the foundation, where you look at things like security, you look at things like the network underneath, other management tools and capabilities there. Like what do we need to build a strong foundation to support all of these different technologies that we're putting on top of it? So those are some of the things we have coming up.
Perfect. Yeah, we always have so much going on and so much research coming out. It's very exciting. So, well, that's gonna kind of wrap us up here for today's episode. But I want to make sure please check back for our future episodes. We typically release every 1 to 2 weeks. We have a new episode, so you can see them all on our Metrigy website, our YouTube channel, any of your podcasting apps, whatever your favorite app is. If you don't already, make sure to follow us on all the social platforms, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, the full gamut of everything. So Robin, thank you so much for taking the time and kind of talking to me and everybody about the MetriStars. I'm excited that this is out now, and we hope to kind of chat again soon about it.
Thank you.